Thank you so much for coming here
You're very
to have
welcome.
an interview with me. So why don't you start by telling us your name, what year you're in, and what dual major you're pursuing.
My name is Spencer Capal. I am a fourth year in the Criminal Justice Program and the Asian Studies Program.
Okay. And so today I invited you here to talk about your experience in dual majoring, right? So I would like you to tell us what prompted you to pursue a dual major in criminal justice and Asian studies.
So originally it was sort of like a slippery slope where I started as a criminal justice major and I wanted to have a language background to sort of boost my resume or give me more job opportunities that would otherwise not be open to somebody that doesn't have language expertise. So I started with Chinese and enrolled in the Chinese certificate.
Okay.
And from there I actually heard one of your talks in our morning class that was talking about the other certificates you can take or getting an Asian Studies minor.
Oh, in exploratory.
Yes.
Oh, you were there.
So sort of, I don't know, on a lark, I decided to enroll in the Japanese summer program to do a year worth of Japanese in about 2 months so that I could start working towards the Japanese certificate. And the more and more that I started taking these Asian Studies core classes, I found myself more and more drawn towards the opportunity to major in Asian Studies and sort of shift away from criminal justice rather than have the languages just be a background.
Oh, okay, interesting. So just to kind of pick up on the points that you're making, in what ways do you expect the dual major to benefit you in your career in the future?
Obviously, in my original career track that I'm still on, it is the lion's share of my talent comes from both my grades and expertise in like crime prevention and gangs and crimes and stuff like that I took for my core major. And now it's much more bolstered by saying I can focus on East Asian areas of criminality or comparing sort of why certain theories don't apply to Asia or vice versa. So I feel more comfortable applying to a broader range of both academic and more practical law enforcement positions. But more than that, I also opened up the entire realm of like diplomatic work, intelligence work, translation work, stuff like that, other graduate university opportunities
So many possibilities.
Yes, that were expanded by having the now wider net of 2 majors and 2 certificates.
Gotcha, perfect. And so I'm going back to the earlier questions. And so in dual majoring in Asian studies, what do you think was the most rewarding part and what do you think was the most challenging part?
As for the most rewarding for me, it was definitely the language requirement, which is sort of how I backed into the major.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed having practical skills that you can see yourself developing. It's not the same when you take sort of like a crime statistics class. You don't really get to see you developing that skill as quickly as you can have a conversation in Japanese. You can have this conversation in Chinese. So that was really rewarding, but it's also the opportunity that you can just meet people on campus, talk with professors in a way that you wouldn't have ordinarily been able to, and go on, for me, the Kakahashi Project, a short-term study abroad program that if I wasn't able to take that summer program and then take the second year right away, I would not have been able to go on.
Oh, okay.
So those were particularly rewarding.
I see. Okay, awesome. And what was the most challenging part?
Challenging.
Well, the language itself is challenging.
The languages itself are challenging, but that's more enjoyable. I think the hardest thing for me is managing having 2 advisors in 2 very different fields. You have to do a lot of emailing back and forth. You have to make sure you're staying on top of all your different core requirements. Like, I have to make sure I get my sort of methods equivalent class in criminal justice done, and then I also have to make sure I get my Asian Studies methods course done as well.
And
so
senior capstone class.
Yes,
also.
and both of them are very different expectations. For criminal justice, they expect you to essentially get a job. It's your field placement.
I remember you told me
You have
that.
to get essentially a job with a law enforcement, security, rehabilitation agency, and then in Asian Studies we have to write our sort of graduation paper, our senior thesis. So it's very different expectations, but they both address competencies that I felt that I needed to have anyway, so I don't mind doing it.
Right, excellent. So did you have to also work with 2 different academic advisors?
Yes,
right?
That has been a unique challenge.
Yeah.
It's hard. When I was planning on studying abroad before my sort of other obligations took precedence, it was hard to manage, okay, this professor has to sign off on this sheet of paper, this professor has to sign off on this waiver or give you this letter of recommendation, stuff like that.
Yeah, that advising structure, I think, definitely needs to be more streamlined.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I would like to talk to you more about that in the future. Okay, and finally, what would you say to the current or prospective students who are considering double majoring?
I would say before you commit to a double major, take courses that are available as the like core classes in that, and see if that's a field that calls out to you. Because either way, you're filling out your gen eds or your electives with something that you find interesting. And if you really find an interest in it, then you can further expand to a minor and then a major or something like that. I'm actually happy with the way that I sort of did my tiptoed way into the major because it let me pick and choose the classes that I found interesting and applicable to what I started with, rather than just sort of forcing myself into a whole new experience.
Right. So in your case, it was probably what, the intro to Japanese culture?
For
gateway class?
my gateway class was actually probably Intro to Chinese Culture.
Oh, Chinese culture. Okay, taught by Professor Agnew.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. I'll tell her that.
That class was very challenging.
Yeah, is that right?
One of the hardest classes I've taken.
Oh my God.
Yes, the reading quizzes, the expectations for the exams were both very hard.
Oh wow. Okay, I need to talk to her about it.
But it was very interesting. The reading was always unique and different, and having the like a sort of triangle approach to the American students, Japanese teacher, Chinese culture. It was nice to have this sort of intersection of a lot of different things at once.
Yeah, sort of what is the word I'm looking for? Multi-perspective, I
Yeah,
guess?
that multicultural perspective of all these different things at once was really interesting.
I see. And so tell me, and the final question, so tell me what your short-term career plans are.
Short-term career plans, obviously I have to do my my other senior capstone, essentially, which is work for the Cincinnati Police Department. So depending on how that goes and how interesting I find that work, I would either continue with that or move on to more like academic pursuits with either law school or graduate school or applying to the JET program with the CIR type of application, translating for the Japanese government, being a stand-in teacher, working with other intercultural exchange type, I don't know. It's hard to say job because so much of it is the expectations once you get there, but that is appealing to me because I like the sort of pick and choose, fly-by-wire sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.